Hey, it's Avelio Montes on Packaging Unboxed. We're going to jump right into the show. We're talking to Sunday's finest. Subscribe to this podcast. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Let's get wasted.
This is a special podcast episode because myself,
a very special podcast,
and Avelio have been brought together in just a really old-fashioned kind of way. See what I did there? We've been brought together through the convergence of incredible packaging design and incredible branding and incredible, I hope, and I would imagine, flavor and delight. So we are combining forces here, the People of Packaging podcast, the Packaging Unboxed podcast, and we are going to be doing an unboxing together with some of our friends, Robert and Damien. So, Avelio, how are you feeling today, man?
I'm pretty stoked. This is great, man. I got my box of gold fashioned, and I'm loving the color. I'm loving the foil. The construction's pretty dope.
Dude, don't get too into it yet. We still got to do intros.
We're just getting started.
Dang.
Yeah, I'm super stoked about it.
We've never done this before. We've never done like a
combined podcast,
thing that's happening. Yeah. So we're joined here by Robert Haynes. Robert is the co-founder and maker. And are you the brains behind the operation? Let's throw someone under the bus here.
Certainly not the brains, but maybe the palate, if you will.
Well, thanks for joining us, Robert. And then we've also got Damien Nichols, and Damien is the brand manager over at, what's the official name of your company?
Sunday's Finest.
Sunday's Finest. That's right.
Okay.
So I appreciate you both.
Emails at I can't even pronounce it.
Apolog. Yeah.
Apolog. Okay. Apolog Liquors. Yeah.
Well, it's Sunday's Finest, and I am the packaging pastor, and so you both know this is true. This is not. I'm not supposed to lie. It's one of the Big Ten.
You're doing the Lord's work, you know.
I'm letting you know. I'm letting you know this, that Jesus Himself promised that there will be wine in heaven. Like, we know that alcohol will be in heaven, and because he says right before he goes to die, he says the next time that the next time that we drink of this together will be in paradise, and it's wine.
We're gonna get wasted, so let's roll with this.
It's gonna be great. So this is Sunday's Finest, and you have I'm just thus saith and all the blessings. So yeah, let's dig into this thing. I'm excited. Well, Avelio, I wanted to invite you because you're rad, and because this is like right in your wheelhouse from a design 100%. Perspective. And
100%. I even got a shirt that says bottles and boxes. Yeah, that's
love
so,
it.
All right. So Damien's I don't think we introduced Damien, right?
Yes,
you're the brand manager?
Mm-hmm. Brand manager.
All right. So where did this design come from before we kind of jump into the actual packaging?
So that's actually version 2. So we launched this product last year. We did a limited run, and our goal was to create the world's best ready-to-enjoy cocktail. World's best ready-to-enjoy cocktail has to come in a beautiful box. We're trying to create like a kind of top-to-bottom consumer experience. And so we launched last year. The feedback was great, but we saw a little bit of room for improvement in the box. And so the unboxing that we're doing today is the new and improved box design that we are very excited about and have worked very hard on.
Wow. I love the graphics on the version 1. That's really nice.
Yeah.
Version 2 is awesome too.
This is definitely, version 2 is what we're most excited about, but this was definitely not a bad place to start.
No, not at all.
This was sort of a callback to, you got a little kind of Art Deco, Gatsby, beautiful, worldly illustrations going on there. This one opened from the top,
wow,
which makes for a lovely presentation. But logistically can be a little bit challenging. So you'll see as you unbox, we made some changes and added a little bit more sort of brain power to that experience on V2. But this was the OG,
That's awesome.
Our first iteration. If I don't want to toot our own horn too much, but I think for a V1, it was a pretty great sort of launching off point.
Can we call it the OGF, the original gold fashioned?
I'm for it.
All right.
Yeah. But it's great. It's a great point. I think if you're starting out, there's always going to be a V1 and a V2. So going from where you were to where you are and the problems that you solve through packaging is really important,
Totally.
Because a lot of times brands are so focused on that V1. It's like, you got to start somewhere. So let's go.
Right.
Totally. And I think you got to iterate. I think you get better products in the long run from studying, right? Than just being like, all right, well, like if you're testing to build, one, it'll take you way longer than if you're building to test. You build it, you test it, you build it, you test it, you build it, you test it. So that's really working for us.
Who's responsible for designing your boxes? Is that in-house, or do you have someone you want to give a shout out to?
I would love to get a shout out to a couple of people. We worked with a cardboard engineer, but didn't know that existed, and really thankful that it does. A gentleman named Matt Bogust.
Oh yeah,
for a company called Think Packaging. Super cool dude, and he helped us, solve for a lot of the things that we wanted to improve with this round of packaging on the structural side. And then we worked with a local outfit from Chicago called Mighty Few, Adam and Ian, on the graphic and brand identity. And, the two of those teams together, we owe them a huge debt of gratitude. They put up with a lot from us, and both really delivered.
That's great.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's funny. When I got this, I took a picture of it and I sent it over to Matt. I've known Matt for years. I'm like, dude, check this out. And he goes, yeah, I made that. I'm like, get out of here. And he's like, no, I really did.
That's sick.
Yeah. I think there's only like three of us, in the world that do like packaging structure, and we all know each other.
Yeah, that's great. Well, cool. Do we want to, I'll tell you one thing that I really found that I enjoyed was, I don't know if this will come through on the camera or not, but like there's like the subtle nature of this printed, is this a cold foil or a foil stamp? But there's like these little hints of like, it's I don't know what color this would be, a deep purple kind of blue colored foil. I just love that little like attention to detail, because it's kind of
not
unexpected.
In your face, but it's
like you
there.
can see the gold foil obviously, but then you're like, oh, look at that. I don't know. I'm always I like those little details in a box.
Yeah. Yeah, I know it's killer. Yeah. The blue is awesome, but I think this little blue hint that's happening here makes this blue really stand out, which is awesome. And then of course the gold.
Oh, there we go. You can see it now in the reflection on the lights.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like when you have to work a little bit to get something to come out, right? I really enjoy that.
So how many of these did you guys make?
Three.
When you ordered this, like how many are you guys doing?
3,000.
Okay. Wow. And through this process, like how many did you sample? Like was it like one and done, or?
We did iterations throughout, kind of managing a couple of different vendors on the cardboard side. So we had, we worked with a company called Master Paper Box out of Chicago, and they would, fold up, make a mock-up for us. We would kind of test it and make sure everything was fitting the right way. But we got the final box showed up, the day that we were bottling the product and sending it out.
Wow.
Yep.
I mean, this
awesome,
that sounds about right.
Inside this box right now, minus the liquid, there are 10 different parts that go into this box. So it was very much so labor of love, very much so, a lot of coordinating, a lot of, and as they're all sort of in concert with each other. So like when one thing changes, another thing might change, right? So it was, it took, I think some people were like, oh yeah, we're redesigning the packaging. And some people were like, oh, like how long is that going to take? Like 2 weeks? And you're like, no.
Like 9 months.
No.
It's like having a baby.
But it was super satisfying. I mean, like when we got that pallet of boxes and like opened them up and they were like perfect, it was like, like, yes, this is all worth it, so it really goes a long way. And having like, experts like Matt and Mike at Master Paper Box and Adam and Ian at Mighty Few, and having them all sort of be on, like, just on the ball really made a huge difference for us.
That's so critical in bringing a project like this to life, I would imagine, is having everyone rowing in the same direction, from the brand to the production to the graphics to the engineering. Like, as long as you've got a team of people together who are focused on the goal together and there's collaboration, that's great. Sometimes what happens is you get finger pointing on timelines, and that's the worst. That sucks.
So all right. So from a design standpoint, right, you've got the front of the box. We're going to like dig into this so we can start enjoying this puppy.
Oh yeah, we got to.
So we got the front of the box. Right off the bat, you've got Sunday's Finest, Gold Fashion. Love the Gold Fashion, and it clearly states like what it's made with. Right, you got straight bourbon, you got rye whiskey, saffron bitters, and then when you open this up, so from a packaging standpoint, right, like here's what's done right is like you've got your branding and product. Then you open it and you don't show the bottle. You don't show the product, right? You don't want to show the product right away. It's like you open this up and now you've got a place for storytelling and instructions. And it's like, all right, I want to get to the bottle, but you give me a place to like pause before I get to the product. And why this is important is, you design it in your office, you design it, with like this beautiful setting in mind. But the reality is I'm opening this up in my kitchen and I've probably got like a sink full of dirty dishes, right? My kids probably left a bunch of junk all over the place. And that's like where, like we all have our own spaces and the way that we live. But like opening this up, it's like, okay, it takes me out of that state and it really lets me to focus here. So that when we do this, when we open this up, I can focus here versus like where everything else is, right? And that gives you a sense of like the value of the product. It's like, okay, this has allowed me to step away from my life and focus on the brand. And then of course you've got more storytelling here. And we've got to, meet the makers. We got Robert Haynes up here, the whole story. Where you were born, all that good
stuff. My grandbaby's
your social security number's on here. That's funny.
One of the things that was really important to us is, obviously you can plan for where people are going to use your product, as you alluded to, and we have a good idea of where folks are using it. But in one of those use cases, I think overall, even outside of spirits, I think it's important to design for your use cases first. We're thinking about hosting and gifting and these special occasions where you will be like, you know what, let's drink the nice stuff tonight. I want to share this moment with you. So, that reveal, that like slow reveal, that's not just for you opening it, right? It's for the person you're gifting it to, the people who are sitting around the table with you. And also you get to keep that too, right? So totally, like you hit the nail on the head there.
It says here, I'm reading here on the front. Remember, I've not looked at this before. This is a live stuff. So it says, that Robert cut his teeth as a member of the opening team of the Violet Hour, iconic Chicago cocktail bar and early thought leader. Is that part of the reason behind the color scheme as well?
No,
it's kind of
nope. But it did remind me of something. That does remind me of something we were just talking about, like talking about how like the opening experience. Violet Hour did this really well, and I feel like other cocktail bars do it too, where you like walk in a door and then there's like a little hallway and then there's a curtain and you turn the corner and then there's like the big reveal. And I think, to your point about how it opens and you have these like kind of this moment of pause before you get the full reveal, that is really critical in kind of connecting it to mentally for people to this like space of hospitality and being, treated well at a nice establishment. The color is, we spent a lot of time thinking about what color it should be. And we wanted something that felt like distinguished, luxurious. And we kind of were circling around. We played with some greens, but the greens felt too earthy. Mm-hmm. We liked purple, but purple, it got a little Lakers. And then we kind of settled into this like deeper, darker blue.
Yeah.
I mean, it gives that lapis lazuli, which I really resonate with, because like I went to art school, I studied painting and illustration, that sort of stuff. And, when you're going through your foundation year and you're learning about art history, they teach you about where pigments come from, right? And lapis lazuli, they're grinding up these blue gemstones. Michelangelo's using these pigments to, paint the Sistine Chapel. And so these tones, they're not like, we weren't like, oh yeah, we're choosing that because of that. But the same sort of like reverence that we have for those deep, super rich blues and golds and purples that, only the richest and only the sort of, the folks who can enjoy the finest things, that sort of evokes a little bit of that specialness there.
Okay, now and it gives you a beautiful contrast to the color of the liquid, right? It's like it really lets that stand out.
Totally.
So then we open this up, and then you've got another compartment, right? You've got foil up here, and then you've got a little base with foil down at the bottom as well, right? So like it carries the message all the way across from top to bottom, which is awesome. You didn't forget one spot.
Yep. Sorry, I'm just like finding little fun things. I'm like, the atomizer. I'm excited to learn about what this is, but this is cool. There's a lot of packaging. I'm counting. I'm like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Right. And then, so you got a nice little fit here with foil, right? You got your atomizer with a gold lid. You got a foil wrap on here. It says orange zest. Make sure there's nothing else in there.
A couple of notable things about the orange zest. So one, a great cocktail should engage all the senses. You find that out at a cocktail bar, but most ready to enjoy cocktails cannot do that. The orange zest atomizer allowed us to engage his olfactory response. And we really wanted to kind of feature that in this packaging. Another thing you'll notice, like the foil burst, you get it here, and you also see it on the front of the package. That's meant to be like slightly evocative of the idea of a zest or a fresh blast of citrus.
Yeah. I love it.
It's like all this storytelling, and as a consumer, you don't know the story, but you feel it, right? There's like these little pieces that connect, which is awesome.
Can I ask a question? How was this cut out up here? This thing looks like this was a tough application in the inside.
It's all hand-built and hand-glued.
Oh, okay. This is hand-built and hand-glued?
Yeah, so it looks like...
Yeah.
Yeah, so it looks like that's like a 1200 GSM board, and then they've wrapped it, and then they've die cut it after, so you can see the board in there.
Yeah,
and there's really no good way to wrap a circle. So the best way to really address it is to do what you guys have done here.
Totally, and for us too, we're like, this sort of solution was great because one, you recess the bottle, right, and then you also get that nice little tuck in right there, so we're getting just that clean rectangular profile that kind of like keeps everything tight. And obviously, as y'all know, the tighter everything can be, the better, because we got some football players, some punters on the shipping teams, on
UPS,
exactly,
on the FedEx team,
exactly.
Yeah, but to your point, like the atomizer, how it fits here. One, it's a great experience, but two, it serves a secondary purpose, which is to hold that bottle in place, right? Because once you close it, it seals it in there. So it's a great use of space. And that was a big reason why I did take a picture of it and I sent it over to Matt. I'm like, dude, look at this. This is pretty cool.
That's awesome. Well, we want to talk. We've only got a few more minutes left. We want to talk about the bottle, and you guys can walk us through how we should try this.
Yeah, just pointing out real quick on this atomizer, the juice is manufactured by Alice and the Magician, which I think is pretty cool.
That's such a great in Burlington, Vermont. I'm like, there's probably a whole story as to how you found them.
They're super awesome. So there's inside this actual atomizer zest. There's 3 different varieties of orange. So there's navel orange, blood orange, and Valencia orange as well. So we wanted to get a little bit of a combo of different varietals. They all bring a little something different to the party. And so, we have a couple more elements on here. We have this emblem, which we love. That sort of tactile,
That's
you can
awesome.
run your fingers over it. That feels really great. And the labels will be hand number and write in the ABV on each bottle as well.
Awesome. And I was actually looking for an X-Acto to cut this plastic thing off, but then check this out, man. You guys even have a little tab here to remove the seal.
Yep.
Right. So you guys have thought of everything.
Oh, look at that.
And it comes off
Right there.
super smooth.
Yep.
And it's all these little, just thinking through every single detail from the consumer side makes a huge difference, right? Because now I don't have to go to the kitchen. I don't have to grab, a knife to try to cut through that or anything like that. So it makes it,
That was unexpected.
it's just a smooth process. Yeah, I haven't seen that very often, so that was pretty cool.
There's also, a no drip pour spout in there,
Right.
if you're wondering what this is. So just for so it doesn't all come gushing out and you can get a nice smooth pour without.
I was
making
expecting
a
the whole
mess.
thing to pop out. I was like, oh, did I break it? I'm like, oh no, it's intentional.
No, just, and one thing too, with alcohol, this clear glass is really important. The amount of glass that's on the bottom, the more there is, the more expensive the alcohol is perceived. Which is crazy. I learned that from the guys over at Aether, New York. They designed a ton of bottles, and I'm like, why is it always so heavy? They're like, yeah, because they're like the more glass, it shows that it's more premium because it shows that the brand can actually afford to ship heavier weight product, and you're buying it for the whole shape. So this is a nice, a good amount of glass down here makes it feel really weighty and balanced. And then you've got this beautiful.
I have one question. On this die cut here on the label, I've worked in the label industry for a while. Why did you choose to die cut out this little notch and not just carry the label all the way around with the one size?
Yeah, I think it was to make the government warning, which you have to put on, just kind of de-emphasize it from the more attractive, for the sexier design aspects.
Okay.
Yeah. And just to kind of contain the brand focused design a little more.
Got it.
And it totally, that little die cut, there's a little notch there and there. Those two little notches actually, they immediately de-emphasize this information. It's almost like the tearaway part of your movie ticket.
Yeah.
Right? It's this, it's over here. Don't worry about that.
Yeah. Cool.
That's a good analogy.
Awesome.
What number bottle did you guys get?
I got number 1. No, I got 152. Sorry, you guys hit the wrong bottle.
That's funny. I got 0. I got number 0. I got 151. So
damn.
Nice.
Yeah.
I tried to snag bottle 420 bar 666 and bottle 1000 just for fun to send to buddies, and I missed each one. No.
Did you know that the Colorado Rockies baseball team ended this season with a 420 winning percentage? I saw that on
Perfect.
Twitter.
Look at that.
Yeah, it was great.
So this is a nice, smooth.
Yeah. So you want to go ahead and pour that.
Okay, so what am I? I'm not a professional cocktail person. So what should I do for ice in this bad boy?
What kind of ice you got? Cubes?
I just got regular cubes of ice. Yeah.
Put 4 in there.
Okay.
Oh, those are like peasant cubes.
I know. Like I said, I'm not a pro. Okay.
And
This
then
smells like super sweet.
And then
do I do anything with this first? Walk me through this with the orange zest.
Nope. So first you're going to pour about 2 ounces over ice. You can eyeball it,
Okay.
Couple fingers.
That looks pretty good.
Okay.
And then you're going to want to take your orange zest.
Got it.
You might want to
The rest
prime
of the day, apparently.
You might want to prime it off to the side if it hasn't been used yet. Just give it.
Gives me 1 second.
Okay, got it. And then
And
what
then
do I
you
do?
just spray it right on top of the cocktail. Hold it about 3 to 5 inches above it and spray straight down one time.
Like straight down like this?
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
Hello.
I think it's my
So
shoulder.
you get that orange
Boom.
immediately on the nose.
Yeah.
Then give it a little stir, bring your temperature down. You should be
There
good
you
to go.
Okay. Cheers.
Oh, that's right.
Cheers. Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yep.
That is nice, dude.
That is really
Pretty good.
I need one of these at 11 o'clock in the morning every day.
I mean, yeah, it's
You're not allowed to timestamp this, Avelio.
It's 7 o'clock in the morning. What are you talking about?
One of the things that we thought was really cool is that, like, if we're gonna go all out with the bottled cocktail, right? Like, if we're gonna go 15-year bourbon, a 9-year bourbon, a 6-year rye, saffron, cacao, vanilla, all these, we're sort of scouring the earth for some of the best shit that we can find. Are we just gonna put it in an off-the-shelf box? Probably not, right?
Yeah.
So that's why that's sort of like also part of that ethos of like, all right, like if the way we treat the inside of the bottle, we got to treat the outside, we got to treat the sleeve, we got to treat the box, and we have to sort of like, consideration from the top to the bottom.
I love it.
Wow.
Well,
what's the
Go
goal?
ahead.
I'm sorry. What's the goal with Gold Fashion, right? With Sunday's Finest? Is it like we're growing, we're going to make like a George Clooney exit, or like
No,
we're keeping this in the family?
kind of the big goal is I think we're trying to change the way folks think about and drink cocktails at home. The Gold Fashion proper will be an annual release. There's finding really, really great special whiskey is challenging, but it's out there. And so every year we'll do an allocated or a limited blend of the Gold Fashion. And then next year we're going to extend the product line into a couple of more like evergreen cocktails that folks could purchase throughout the year. I think the dedication and desire to work with only the best ingredients possible, and also with an emphasis on like really great, smart, forward-thinking design will be consistent across all the products.
Totally. And one thing that, like, just to go high level just for a second, like we were talking about this idea of hospitality. There isn't a ton of hospitality in the CPG space, right? Like, and when you see it, it jumps out at you. You're like, oh my God, that was so sick, right? And so Robbie comes from having a super deep hospitality background, and in sort of the creation of this brand and each SKU, it's like, how do we make that packaging reflective of that deep knowledge of hospitality? Because even when you like sort of pulling out a little bit, when you think about you go to a restaurant, the product is the food and the expertise, right? Mm-hmm. And in a sort of, in one sense, the packaging for that is the plateware, the knives, the music, the way the light is set, what the servers are wearing. If the servers are wearing something that's different from the bar staff, that's all part of it, right? Like that is the same decision-making process as, are we doing 200 pound? Are we doing 300 pound? Are we doing 250? What feels best? Is it toothy enough? Do we need an extra sleeve? Do we need a pull tab, right? So who says that you can't sort of be that hospitable when it comes to a bottled cocktail? So for us, it's really just like changing the way or at least revisiting and rethinking the way that hospitality exists within the confines of the home and wherever and whenever you want that hospitality to exist, right? So yes, we're pulling out some new SKUs. We're going to be working on other products, but really like our North Star is how do we make sure that when you leave this product, you feel as considered, when you walk out of a restaurant, you're like, man, that was good. I'm full. I had a good time. The waitress was awesome. The chef came out, so on and so forth. How do you have a similar, obviously they won't be one-to-one. It won't be that same exact experience, but how do we push that further and further and further wherever and whenever you want to enjoy it, right? So it's really sort of like creating a conduit for that hospitality to go from a person like Rob, who's been working for decades, creating that experience in situ for folks and pulling it out into a different location. So that's what we're that's the dragon.
If we're looking at this like lifestyle and like thinking through like all these different phases of hospitality, like I would just imagine you would, and I'm looking behind you, Robert, you've got the soundboard, you've got the Vox amp. Like this would be great to have a playlist, right? For a few different settings that I can like click, QR code, bump it through my speakers. And as I'm setting this up, like what kind of event do I want to have?
So one of the things that we're really, and it's not part of the packaging, like proper hard, but part of the sort of like packaging that we're thinking about is like, how do we create a little bit more of a conversation with our brand and our customers? Because you buy a bottle of Patron, you take it home and then you fuck off and then you do whatever you want with it, right? But for something like this, this year we introduced our Sunday's Finest Reserve list, which is a list of folks who are, super into it and who have sort of been along with us since day one. And one of the things we were thinking about as we're going into this next launch is like, how do we, the people who are using this to create special occasions, how do we give them the tools to make that occasion more special, right? Whether it's like introducing them to some of our favorite brands of like, flatware, or introducing them to our favorite brands of rocks glasses, or our favorite ice purveyors, or putting together playlists for folks where they can, be that host and give them tools to sort of do that in a more sort of like seamless way, right? So it's like, maybe it's a modern Japanese jazz playlist. Maybe it's like a Afrobeats inspired, but a little, it's not up here, it's down here, so you can enjoy your evening, right? So that is part of the sort of soft packaging, if you will.
I love it.
That's awesome. And they're just looking at old fashioned just being the whiskey, the simple syrup, the bitters, and then of course the orange peel, and you've kind of you've bottled it a little bit differently here, where it makes me as the home consumer, I can kind of knock this out pretty quick. It's not an old fashioned, it's a gold fashioned, right? It's a little, if I've got some people over, I'm spraying into their glass. It makes it look like I know what I'm doing, which I think is what everybody wants to do, right? We all want to feel a little bit special, and we want to feel a little bit more special than our guests, right?
It's like,
for someone like me, sorry, Robert, for someone like me who's not a, like I enjoy the flavor profile. I enjoy entertaining, but I am not an aficionado on how to make, like craft cocktails. I don't have the time or the expertise.
Yeah, I think it makes entertaining easy. The spritz allows people to get involved. It's like when you throw the egg in the Betty Crocker cake mix. You know what I mean? Like, I can't bake a cake, but I put the egg in and I feel like I've done something. And this is the gold fashioned is no Betty Crocker cake mix. It's significantly nicer, but I think the atomizer allows you to engage with the product. It gives folks something to talk about. They pass it around. One of the biggest pieces of feedback we got last year was that we should make the atomizer bigger. And that's, I think people were having fun with it, zesting it around, spraying it on their arms, smelling it, zesting it on other stuff. So
yeah, I got it all over me. I missed the glass a couple times.
One really interesting anecdote there is, so those Betty Crocker cake mixes, the eggs and milk, like the OG versions, they were actually in the entire formulation. It was just add water. And in the focus groups and in chatting with people, they were like, hey, like, I don't feel like I made, like, this isn't my cake. It's your cake. I just added water. So they intentionally, I mean, powdered eggs and powdered milk are not like, you know, a crazy
it's not new
thing.
Yeah.
Right.
So they intentionally pulled the eggs and pulled the milk out so that you have those couple steps, right? Like gives you that level of engagement. You have a different relationship with the product.
100%. And if can I get enough sprays out of this for the whole bottle? Is that kind of how it's built?
You got the bottle, and then you can dress yourself up for probably a couple weeks, you know, stepping out.
Nice. This is cool, guys. This is like, all right. So just we can start wrapping up here. Regarding the packaging, top notch, feels super solid. You know, the color's amazing. The foil stamping. I mean, there's no printing on that box. It's all foil stamp with like a nice deboss. Your messaging is on point in terms of like how you unbox and undress this bottle. And then when you get to the bottle, you've got this killer hardware, plenty of glass on the bottom, super smooth user experience here. And then of course the no drip component there, which again, it makes it feel, when I open up, almost like, you know, when you're at the bar and they've got the little toppers on there, it's like a little bit more special, which is funny because like these things are not out of this world new, right? Like the no drip, those things have been around, but people don't put it in there because it's just like one more cost, you know, in your cogs. But by doing that, it makes it feel that much more special to me. And again, as the person that's having the event or even doing it on my own at home, it's like I feel like I know what I'm doing. And I think guys are really tapping into that as like a core secret is, you know, I know with like wine, people go to the store, they don't know what the hell they're buying, right? They think they do, but they don't. And they want to be made to feel like they do. So like with your bottle, it makes it feel like I know what I'm doing. And I'll probably drink more, and which means I'll buy more. So it was a win-win.
Hey, where would people buy some of their own gold fashioned?
Sundaysfinest.com.
Sundaysfinest.com.
Yeah. We will ship to, I think, 40 some odd states. It'll come straight to your door.
Awesome. And we want people to buy it. So sundaysfinest.com. And if you buy it, post it and tag all of us.
Yeah,
totally. Yeah. And, you know, even if you're interested, if you have any questions, feel free to shoot us an email. cheers@sundaysfinest.com. You know, send us a DM on Instagram, Sunday's Finest Cocktails. You know, we're a small team. It's not, I think a lot of times people see like productions like this, or they see a piece of packaging and they're like, oh yeah, there's like 30 people working on that. And there's, you know, it's a small team of us. So we're curious to hear what people have to say and are super open to conversation. So, you know, hit us up.
Cool.
Love to know what you think.
Awesome. And if you want to be like extra special at your party, you can just, you know, take a little orange peel zest and throw it in here, or like a cherry and throw it in here. Then you look like, you know, Isaac from Love Boat, right? It's like, you know what you're doing. You're busting out the bartending tools. So,
wow.
You know the vibe.
Yeah, this is dope. It's like,
I love
it. It's like, I don't know what I'm doing, but if I can look like I know what I'm doing, I'm willing to pay extra to look special, right? Because it makes me the hero of the event. So this is amazing, guys.
A little wider, you stay a little straighter, you know?
Love it.
100%. All right.
Well,
guys,
Damien,
thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
Sunday's Finest. This stuff is awesome. Packaging was amazing. Shout out to Matt and team and Mike and Ian.
Thanks for
Adam and Ian?
Adam. It was Adam. How did you forget that name? It's Adam.
All right, Adam and Ian. I'll edit that out.
Thank you, guys. A pleasure chatting.
Thank you.
All right, one last favor. Subscribe to this podcast. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Appreciate it. All right, guys. We'll see you soon.